high fly, TNF's favorite exercise for the upper chest, is top 3 most overrated exercises right now. Oh, and while we're at it, all incline movements biomechanically just don't make any sense. At least this is what Meno says in his newest YouTube video. Let me break down his reasoning behind the low to high fly and all incline pressing being vaulted. First off, he says the low to high fly is more of a front delt movement plus some upper chest. And he pulled the classic, most people have overdeveloped front delts, so why train them at all? But his main argument behind all of this is that research shows incline movements don't emphasize the upper chest, they just de-emphasize or train the lower chest less. Meno says, and I quote, there are universally superior alternatives available to maximize muscle growth most efficiently. For example, this study and some EMG data supporting it found equal upper and middle chest growth doing a horizontal fly, a pec deck. Meno says that through a horizontal fly, all fibers are recruited either way, so why do an incline or low to high fly? And I quote, there is no improvement through incline. So it seems all incline pressing and low to high flying are vaulted for the upper chest.
Dang, a lot to unpack there. So the studies that were shown by Meno was this one and this one. The study from 1995 showed that there was not an increase in upper chest activation, there was just a decrease in lower. Alright, 6 participants, 1995. But let's look at the more recent data. And we can start with one that he showed on the screen, which literally concluded that an incline had greater activation. His own study. And we also have Trebs et al. From 2010, showing greater activity with inclination. But to make matters worse, Meno went on with additional reasoning. So I want to show you a clip.
The implication for this for crossovers is that when you do a low to high crossover, you are effectively turning the fly, crossover is essentially a fly, into a very incline type fly. The result of that is that the exercise is more of a front delt exercise, and yes, some upper chest exercise, than a true full pec exercise.
This is a completely false dichotomy because the anterior deltoid and the clavicular head work very well in tandem. So just because the anterior delt is recruited more doesn't mean that somehow the clavicular head is recruited less. That's why when you see studies on front raises, you see that the anterior deltoid spikes really high in terms of activation. But guess what also spikes really high? The clavicular head of the pectoralis major. Yes, it doesn't say it here, but this is the clavicular head that they're talking about. And to make matters even worse, when we take a look at all of the different muscle groups involved in bench press, so non-incline, but actually taking and keeping the humerus closer to the body or further away from the body, it is a perfect match with what I'm saying. With a wide grip, the clavicular head gets activated less. With a medium grip, it gets activated more. And with a narrow grip, it gets activated the most. And the same pattern follows for the anterior deltoid. And that's fine. They both get activated more because they are both solid shoulder flexors. So no, low to high movements for the upper chest are not vaulted. If you want the most growth for your chest, you will always be looking for sternocostal movements, i.e. adduction movements, because it is a bigger head, but that does not mean that the upper chest does not receive a better stimulus from going low to high. And